I'll never forget that smile. That disgusting, deformed smile that tugged at his cheeks. No, calling it that would be a disservice. It wasn't really a smile. It was a pair of torn up parentheses carved from cheek to cheek. Too wide, too raw, too wrong. And that laugh. God, that laugh. Shrill and jagged, like something clawing up your spine. The devil's laugh. I can never get it out of my head. But what clings to me most is his eyes. Those unblinking, bloodshot eyes that I swear didn't have eyelids. The sadistic glee in his demonic gaze and how they lit up in the fire. I'll never forget the demon at BrookBend. I'll never forget Jeff the Killer. Paula Mae Beth and Bruce Richardson met in the spring of 1981 in Bentonville, Arkansas. Paula came from the type of family that used 3 different forks at dinner, while Bruce was in the process of getting evicted from his apartment. Still, they quickly fell in love, and despite the Maybeth family's objections, they got married in the fall of 1986. If you asked Bruce about their wedding, he'd comment about his wife's angelic face or how there was an actual rainbow when they did their vows. If you asked Paula, she'd tell you that his fly was down. 5 years after that, on September 1st of 1990, I was born. Jane Elizabeth Richardson. We didn't live a rich life, often getting our groceries from the gas station across the street, but we were happy. Mom's family refused to help us out, and I had only seen them a handful of times. Dad's family stuck around, but they were what people called trailer trash. I hated that term. They were nice people just trying to get by like the rest of us. However, they weren't much help to our financial situation no matter how much they wanted to. My Uncle Jared would take me to the mall and let me pick out whatever I wanted from the discount shop inside. I usually walk away with some poppers and candy necklaces. Not much, but satisfied my 3-year-old self. I was young and didn't understand adult stuff like bills or taxes. However, I remember something always making my daddy upset in that cramped apartment on the edge of town. Despite our money issues, my dad never wanted me to see that side of our lives, and after working late nights, he'd come home with some gummy worms and we'd watch The Princess Bride till one of us fell asleep. Usually him. It got to a point where I could quote the whole movie from front to back, but that didn't stop me from loving it any less. There's something about the love story of Wesley and Princess Buttercup, coupled with the revenge story of Inigo Montoya, that absolutely enthralled me. I remember finding sticks outside, using them as swords against my imaginary monsters and yelling, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." My mother got mad at me one time when I brought in a bunch of ants on top of one of the sticks, but I didn't care. I was on a revenge quest and nothing could stop me. When I was 6, my dad had found a job opportunity in a little town called BrookBend, Indiana. "We can get a fresh start," my dad would argue through the thin walls of his room. "We don't need a fresh start," my mom snapped back. "We have nothing as is, and now you're asking me to start from scratch?" "We won't be starting from scratch, Paula. I'd have a higher paying job, much higher than what I make at Tammy's Market." Dad worked at Tammy's Market for about 4 years at this point, and despite it being a welcoming environment, the pay was shit. "And where are we gonna live, Bruce? You can't expect me to live in one of Mike's dingy trailers. The house is super cheap. You know this. We can afford it. Plus, there's a nice school. There's a nice school right here, and the teachers already know us and our situation. Think about Lizzie." Lizzie is what my dad always called me. "Don't you want her to live a better life? She seems pretty damn happy to me. She's 6. What about when she gets older and realizes her situation? When she realizes that there's no future secured for her?" My mother finally budged, and in the summer of 1996, we moved to BrookBend, Indiana. BrookBend was a small town in southern Indiana. It spoke to those who wanted the good old American pie. A nice home, a wife, kids, 9-to-5 job, grandkids, and retirement. It was nestled between so many cornfields that you'd go blind from the yellow. There was little street lighting, which allowed the stars to be perfectly seen at night. I remember laying with my parents on that old gray blanket, counting the stars as grass rubbed between my toes. My mom would teach me all the constellations and even gave me an astronomy book from her childhood. I remember one night in the middle of February, my mom brought me outside into the cold. She laid a blanket on the snow and invited me to lay down. I was still in my pajamas, so my mom grabbed me a coat, draping it over my freezing body. She raised my pointed hand for me. "Do you see those 3 bright stars?" I shook my head, so she moved my hand higher. "Look closer." I squinted my eyes. "There it is! I see it!" I exclaimed, my breath freezing in the air. What is it?" "That's Orion's belt." "His belt? Where's Orion?" My 8-year-old brain didn't understand why my mom had me looking at some guy's belt. She chuckled. "Look around. Do you see him? There's his torso and his club, and there's his shield." "That looks more like a bow." "Then it's a bow. That's the beauty of stars. They're what you make of them." She smiled, then continued. "Orion was a giant hunter-warrior in Greek mythology. Why is he in the sky?" "The gods place him there as a tribute along with his dogs." She pointed at 2 constellations that look like dogs. Canis Major and Canis Minor. They're best seen in the winter and spring. "Why can't they come out when it's warmer out?" My mom laughed as the winter chill took hold of me. "They're still there. It's just hard for us to see them." She got it from the blanket, scruffing out my red hair as she did. "Come on, let's get some hot cocoa." That was my last memory of my mother. My last memory before the cancer got to her. The woman I saw in those final days wasn't my mother. She was a husk of the great woman I knew. A wisp. We couldn't afford the treatments necessary, so my dad took on 2 jobs on top of his 9-to-5 at the mill. My mom was so busy that I ended up living with our neighbors, Marie Hopkins and her girlfriend Casey. Marie and Casey always spoiled me and even helped me set up a lemonade stand to raise money for my mother. I made $20 and, being 9, I thought that would cover my mother's entire treatment. It was months before my mother's family finally found out about the sickness and offered to cover the whole treatment. With the treatment fully paid for, my dad could drop his extra jobs and I moved back in with him. My mom was in and out of the hospital for months. She fought with all her might, but that still wasn't enough. One day, after school, my dad took me to see my mother in the hospital one last time. I can still smell the hospital. Antiseptics, rubber gloves, and old people. I can see what was left of my mother, laying in that white hospital bed. Her red hair was gone, her skin was pale. She didn't say much. She was too weak. I could have said something. I should have said something. But I was too scared. These were the last words I would ever say to her. Even I knew that. How could I say everything I wanted to say to her, to encompass the entirety of how much someone means to you in a few short words? I could have told you, "I love you," or "I'll miss you," or "You mean everything to me." But that still wasn't enough. So I said nothing. I simply held her hand and let a tear roll down my freckled cheek. Hold her hand as the cardiac monitor moved up and down, up and down, up and down, and finally flat. I didn't remember Arkansas much. We moved to BrookBend before I could even spell my own name. However, this fact didn't matter to kids at school who'd constantly call me Arkansas. I still don't know if it was a term of endearment or a form of bullying. Nonetheless, it annoyed the shit out of me. It was like a constant reminder that I was different, that I wasn't a true Brookbender. Just because I wasn't born into this inbred town doesn't mean I deserve to be treated differently. I was raised here like everyone else, and my dad got paychecks from the same place as everyone else's dad, the Hamage Straw Mill. When we first moved to BrookBend, I thought the straw mill was for straw bales and other farm-related stuff. It wasn't until I was 11 that I learned it was a paper straw. You know, those straws that dissolve in your own drink and give it that factory taste. That is what ran this town. I found it weird how we needed so many people to work at a place that was mainly operated by machines. I would ask my dad about it, but his responses would be a short, "We make straws," and that was it. To be fair, Dad was full of short responses ever since Mom died. It was like their souls were tied, and when she died, a little bit of him went with her to heaven. He tried his best to fill the hole she had left. He learned to cook and tried, and failed, to learn Mom's recipes. I remember a particular night of these failed attempts. I was 12 and Dad was hard at work for the last 3 days, coming home with either McDonald's or pizza. So seeing him making dinner that night was a pleasant surprise. "Pasta night!" he exclaimed with a stupid amount of excitement you could only find in a dad. "Yay!" I tried to match his energy. I took some notes from your mother, and I believe that I finally cracked it. He unveiled a tray of lasagna like he had found the Holy Grail, and if it truly was Mom's lasagna, he had every right to do so. My mom was known for this meal. At every get-together or party, she was required to bring her world-famous lasagna. The second it was set on the table, partygoers lined up for a slice. There were numerous times when I'd go to grab a slice and it'd all be gone. I'd get upset, my mom would comfort me. "I'll make you your own when we get home," she'd tell me with a warm, caring smile. When my dad set down this tray of lasagna, it was just me and him. He pulled the cheesy slice from the tray and set it on my plate. I would usually wait for him to get his slice, but it had been so long since I had this lasagna that I couldn't resist digging straight in. However, upon first bite, my taste buds gagged with disgust. It was in my mouth already and I had to choke it down. "How is it?" my dad innocently asked, finally getting a slice on his plate. I held back a gag. "Great, Dad." I beat down on my chest. "Just like Mom used to make it." He tried a slice and instantly spit it out. "Oh," he gagged. "That is terrible." I took this as an invitation and spit out the piece I was trying to choke down. "Damn it!" he yelled before looking away from the lasagna in front of him. "We can just order pizza. Don't worry about it, Dad." My dad wiped his eyes and faked a smile. "You're absolutely right, Lizzie. Why didn't I think of that? You can order with whatever topping you want, then I'll pick it up." I grinned excitedly. "Can I get breadsticks?" He got up from the table and turned his back to me, keeping his voice high. "Yes, honey, you can get breadsticks." He went into his room while I got the landline, preparing to dial the pizza number. Part of me felt like I saved dinner. However, the other part of me knew that this was about more than lasagna. School life was much simpler. The same classes every day, the same teachers, the same friends. I didn't date much besides a boy named Randy Hamage, if you even count that. We met in the 1st grade and were lovebirds by the time spring break came around. We weren't in love or anything. We were too young for that. It was more like, I'm a girl and you're a boy, let's date. We didn't even hold hands since Randy was convinced that it would make me pregnant. Our relationship ended when I caught him giving Lydia Hawkins a blow pop during recess. In my 7-year-old mind, that was cheating. So I ended it, calling him a dirtbag on the bus, a word I heard my mom call the repairman who kept giving her weird looks. Randy and I still stayed close friends after that, but by the 4th grade we hardly talked, and by the 5th grade, I never saw him. I never saw him again till halfway through the 6th grade. "Arkansas!" I heard a kid yell from the other end of the hall. I was, ironically, talking to Lydia, my now best friend, ignoring the kid who had yelled my not name. Not taking the hint, the boy ran up and tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around and it was none other than Randy Hamage. "Randy?" I questioned. He looked a lot different than when he did in 2nd grade. His blonde hair was long and disheveled, and he was much taller, like a lot taller. He had to have been at least 5'3", which, for a 12-year-old, was huge. "Hey, I was wondering if you had the homework for Roberts," our math teacher. "Yeah, why?" "He's checking homework today and I forgot mine at home. I was wondering if I could copy yours down since we had the same class." A panic had come over my face. "He's checking homework? Today? He never checks it on Wednesdays." I faced upwards in annoyance. "Well, today he is. I thought you had it." "I do, but none of it's right. I just put down random numbers in case we did a folder check, which is what we normally do on Wednesdays." One thing about Roberts was that he never graded anything. So, on the off chance he did grade stuff, your grade would tank if you didn't do it. Not having this homework meant that we would have a guaranteed C in his class. Shit. He said that word like he was the coolest kid ever. Oh, look at him. He can say swear words. But to Randy's credit, he really was the coolest kid ever. His family owned the straw mill that everyone was dependent on. If you were to ever disrespect Randy, he could tell his dad and he'd make your parents' lives a living hell. Not like he ever did that, but it was still a living threat that everyone tried their hardest to avoid. I continued, "Do you think he's actually gonna check it, or is he just gonna skim?" "Well, Michael got points taken off of his, so I think he's doing more than just skimming." "I have his class in 2 periods, and I'm testing in both of those." "Well, I have him next period." "Okay, buddy. This isn't a contest to see who's more screwed." He laughed. "Do you think he'll accept bribes?" "Mr. Robert? Heck no. He's all about academic integrity." Randy thought for a moment. "What if we skipped?" "I'd rather get a 0 than a call home. But what if I had my dad sign us both out?" "Can he do that? I thought you can only sign your own kid out." "He can make it happen," Randy said confidently, and I didn't doubt him. "But why would he want to sign me out? He doesn't know me." Randy smirked. "Oh, trust. He remembers sweet Jane from 2nd grade." I rolled my eyes in disbelief. No way he remembered me, but sure as shit, he did. He picked us up in his Porsche and had me ride shotgun so he could talk to me the whole drive. He was the personification of a lumberjack. Tall, huge, hairy arms, a thick beard, and red hair like me. However, he wore a dress shirt that threw off the whole aesthetic. "I take it your father doesn't know where you are right now?" He stared at me while driving. I looked down, away from his gaze. Noticing my apprehension, he continued, "It's okay. This can stay a secret." He smiled as my gaze turned back to him. "Imagine my shock when Randy texted me about you. Haven't heard about you in years. How you been?" Randy sat quietly in the back as I hesitated before speaking. I've been good." My gaze flickered between him and the clean car's floor. There's something about him. Something that made me scared to speak. He didn't look mean. His face was actually extremely gentle. It was his build, but I knew people with similar builds and didn't hesitate to talk to them. There was just something about his presence that screamed, "Fear me." I got over my hesitation and spoke again. "How have you been?" He immediately responded, "Great!" He looked back at Randy through the rear view mirror. "Happy my son is finally talking to some girls again." Brianna and I both awkwardly laughed. Mr. Hamish continued, "Do you love birds wanting anything to eat?" Not wanting to be rude, I responded, "No, I'm good." "Come on, of course you do. Let's get some McDonald's." He looked back at me, white teeth shining. A little taste of home. When we parked in the McDonald's parking lot, I began to open my door before being stopped by Mr. Hamish. "Randy's got it," he said nonchalantly. Randy came around my side and opened the door for me. I thanked him and he gave me a faint smile. I smiled back when we made our way inside. Randy whispered to me, "Want a race?" I nodded yes, and he took off before I finished nodding. I scoffed and ran behind him. Randy beat me, letting the door close in my face. Mr. Hamish's gentle face turned into a scowl as he opened the door for me. "Excuse us, Miss Richardson," he said as he pulled Randy by the ear into the bathroom. They were in there for a long time, and when they emerged, Randy wore a red mark on his cheek. I didn't know what happened in that bathroom, but it didn't take a genius to figure it out. We ordered, then Randy pulled out a chair for me under his dad's gaze. I sat down as Mr. Hamish sat across from me. His warmth was back, and Randy's was gone. Randy and I didn't hang out much after that. It wasn't because I developed any disdain for him or anything, we just lived different lives. Marie Hopkins and Casey had adopted an infant named Nina and asked me to babysit her whenever they were helping their clients. With it being a second family to me, I gladly took the offer, with decent pay. I was running a business after all. Randy, however, spent most of his time hanging out with his brother Keith, that little brat, and his friend Troy. Even though our paths hardly crossed, he was still a heavy presence in my life, as he became my academic rival. Randy might have seemed like a dumbass, but he actually was extremely smart, one upping me in every test score and class challenge. In the summer before my senior year, a family moved across the street from us. They seemed like a nice family of 4, and my dad wanted me to go introduce myself. I didn't want to, but figured there was no harm and rang the doorbell. A white, blonde woman answered and I spoke. Hey, I'm Jane Richardson. My father's Bruce Richardson. We live across the street and I figured I'd welcome you to the neighborhood. The woman smiled. Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Margaret Woods and my husband, Phil, is over there making drinks for the Prescotts. She pointed at a brown-haired man with a 5 o'clock shadow and a red flannel. I peeked into her house and saw the Prescotts making themselves comfortable, chatting up a storm with Mr. Woods. Margaret continued. You just missed my kids. I'm sure Lee would have loved to meet you. I just stood there awkwardly. Why does she talk like that? It was as if I was talking to a robot. I had run out of things to say already, and in not my proudest moment said, Hope you enjoy the neighborhood, and just walked away, much to Mrs. Woods' confusion. Yep, never going there again, I thought. My dad asked me how they were, and I just said, nice, before returning to my summer reading. Something was just off about them. Maybe it was their robotic politeness or lack of sincerity. Or maybe some external force told me to stay away. I should have listened to that force. Much to my surprise, Randy and I started talking again during our senior year. Sharing most of the same classes helped us reconnect, but also fueled our one-sided rivalry even more. Also to my surprise, people seemed strangely interested in one of my new neighbors. I thought it was just because of him being new. We didn't get many new residences, but when I saw his ghostly skin, frail figure, and long, midnight hair, I understood. I understood all the talk around Jeffrey Woods. Do you think he, bleached his skin or something? I remember Lydia asking me in the hallway between periods. I responded annoyed. I don't think that's how bleach works, Lydia. Isn't that what Michael Jackson did, though? I'm pretty sure Michael has vitiligo. Why would him being dizzy turn his skin white? I think I visibly facepalmed. Lydia, can you do me a favor and shut the fuck up? I laughed. Whatever. Have fun never hearing this beautiful voice again, she jokingly scoffed. Promise? Oh, shut up, she smiled. As if on cue, Jeffrey Woods dropped his books after bumping into some jock. You can't even watch where he's going, Lydia commented. Lydia Hawkins? I walked backwards towards Jeff, facing Lydia. You're an asshole. I helped Jeff pick up his books. Here. I handed him his copy of Lord of the Flies. Thanks. He stood up slowly. Pretty heavy book there. About cannibalism. What? He questioned. I gestured at Lord of the Flies. Oh, I think it's about more than that. Yeah, I was just kidding. You've got good taste. I held out my hand. I'm Jane. He hesitantly took it. I'm Jeff. For the weeks that passed, Jeff and I talked more and more in the hallway, and I thought he even developed a crush on me. I didn't feel the same way, but that didn't make our relationship any more awkward. I probably should have talked to him earlier on, told him that I didn't feel the same way, but I think a part of me liked having a guy all over me. We'd occasionally get weird looks from our classmates when we were together, however, I didn't mind. Jeff and I were both outsiders. We both weren't treated with the same respect as those raised at BrookBend. BrookBend didn't have any fights or rivalry schools, so I think we made rivalries within ourselves. There were the natives and the foreigners, and Jeff and I were foreigners. I also started to hang out more with Randy. He was one of the many who picked on Jeff, and I got on him for it constantly. It got to the point where he didn't even mention Jeff when I was in the room. Randy was an asshole, yes, but there was more to him. He could be kind. He could be better. I remember on my birthday, I was at the Hopkins house watching Nina when Randy surprised me with a watch. Do you like it? He asked after I put on the watch that was way too expensive for someone like me. Yeah, it's nice. I tried my best to seem appreciative, but it was hard. A watch? Do I look like I need a watch? Randy laughed. You could at least try to sound happy. Well, I am happy. It's a really nice watch. I just suck at showing appreciation, okay? I snapped. Whoa, no need to get defensive. I was just kidding. He grabbed my wrist. Plus, I know a watch is kind of a stupid gift. He clicked the button on the side and the inside lit up in the form of a constellation. The constellation. It's Orion. You have it bookmarked in that astronomy book you carry around all the time, so I figured... I didn't know what it was. Maybe it was because it was allergy season. Maybe it was because I had been up the entire night prior. Maybe it was because little Nina was driving me crazy with the same game over and over again. Maybe it was just an emotional day. Whatever the reason, I broke down. Tears rolled down my face as I stared at the watch. Randy was thrown off. Fuck, I didn't know it was that bad of a gift. I rubbed my eyes and hugged him. Thank you. In the middle of December, the day before winter break, BrookBend High School had a dance called the Blizzard Ball. Despite it being the 1st of November, people had already begun getting dates. In all my years in high school, I had never gone. Not to say I was never asked, it's just that I thought dances were stupid. I had gone to homecoming every year with my friends, and it was always the same stupid music and grind circle. Nothing fun in my eyes. I didn't expect the Blizzard Ball to be any different. However, when Randy asked me after school, it was hard for me to say no. Come on, it'll be fun, Arkansas. School dances are just not my thing. We'll be at the dance for like 30 minutes. The fun part is before and after. After? After I'm going to bed. I don't know what you've got planned. Now you're talking about after. So it's a yes? It's a maybe. For you, that's a yes. I protested. No, it's not. It was. I'll get you around 4 for pics and dinner. He walked off before I had time to protest. Not like I would have. I was practically kicking my feet in my head right now. My heart beated faster and faster. I never felt like this before, and I never thought that I'd feel it for Randy. I didn't like him, per se, but I'd be lying if I said he wasn't cute. Maybe I could get him to shave that mullet before the dance, I thought. The day after, as if God was punishing me, Jeff came up to me. I was still riding the high from my conversation with Randy the day before and was practically bouncing off the walls. Hey Jeff, what's up? He looked down. I have something I've been wanting to ask you. Sure thing. Jeff looked everywhere but my eyes. I just figured that since we... No offense, Jeff, but can you get on with it? I'm gonna be late to class. Jeff's gentle eyes looked into mine. Would you be willing to go to the dance with me? He said faster than I could process. Oh. Noticing my hesitation, Jeff panicked. I'm so sorry. It's just we talk a lot, and I don't know. I thought you liked me. I do like you, Jeff. As a friend. It's just that he cut me off. We can go as friends. It doesn't have to be a date thing. Just friends. No, it's not that, Jeff. Someone already asked me, and I said yes. Who? I hesitated, knowing the heartbreak this would bring. Randy? Jeff's face turned into a scowl. Randy? I'm sorry, Jeff. I know how he is with you, but we're friends also, and don't ever talk to me again, you fucking bitch. I was caught off balance by the sudden shift. The fuck did you just say to me? Fuck you. He ran off. That was the last time he had talked to me in the school halls. The last time he truly faced me till that fateful day. Nina, now 6, walked in on me while I was doing my makeup. Why are you all pretty? I'm always pretty, thank you, I replied, adding finishing touches. I never see you in makeup. I wear makeup? Sometimes. I'm just adding a bit more since I'm going out. With a boy? It doesn't have to be a boy, Nina. Why'd you be getting pretty for a girl? She asked, swinging back and forth, unable to stay still. You literally have 2 moms, hon. I don't want to hear you talking. She then said in the sweetest voice to ever bless my ears, okay. I turned to face her. You're so freaking cute, you know. She looked at my makeup covered face. You look like a clown. She giggled. My smile dropped. Compliment revoked. What does revoked mean? It means... I checked my watch. It's time for me to leave. I grabbed my jacket and got ready to head out. Casey, seeing me about to leave, asked, what are you doing tonight? I was about to answer when Nina answered for me. She's being revoked. I smiled, tugged on my cheeks. Damn right. I walked out the door, hearing Casey jokingly yell, language, as I did. Much to my glee, Nina was right. I was seeing a boy. Randy invited me to meet him at the speedway down the road and to see a movie afterwards. I didn't know what movie. When he asked me if I wanted to hang out, I said yes without a second thought. Perhaps too quickly? I arrived at the speedway and there was Randy, filling up a cherry slushie. Well, I walked up behind him. He was startled by my sudden appearance before looking me up and down. Maybe I did go a little overboard with the black dress. Nice dress. Thanks. I looked at him, dressed in jeans, a Metallica shirt, and a jean jacket. Too much jean. Getting a little bit self-conscious, I asked, did I go a bit overboard? I didn't know what vibe we were going for. No, you look great. Did the Randy Hamage just stutter? Shut up, he punched my shoulder. Hey now, that's no way to treat a date. I wanted to kill myself after saying that. A date? I thought this was just hanging out, Randy teased. Shut up! I punched his shoulder. Maybe a little too hard. It obviously hurt him, but he acted unaffected. Do you want a slushie? Do you even know me, Randy Hamage? I grabbed a cup from the dispenser and placed it underneath Raspberry Rush. Randy stopped me. Hang on, I want you to try something. Oh, brother. Relax. Keith showed me this. Even worse. He placed my drink under Coca-Cola, then under Cherry Bomb, and finished with some more Coca-Cola. Try this. He handed it to me eagerly. I took a long sip. It tasted pretty damn good, but I preferred Raspberry Rush. What do you think? I took the straw out of my mouth. Who'd have thought that mixing cherry and Coke gave you cherry Coke? He rolled his eyes. You just ruin all my fun, don't you? That's my job. I took a long sip. Fuck! What's wrong? Your stupid drink hurt my brain. I always hated getting brain freezes. Why can't our bodies just let us enjoy frozen drinks in peace? Randy laughed. Sorry, it might be a little too complex for you. Shut the fuck up. I looked away as he placed his hand on my forehead. Does that help? That's not how brain freezes work, doofus. How about this then? He started shaking my head violently. I laughed. Stop it! Did that help? You know, it actually did. Great. He spoke. Can I say something stupid right now? When don't you? I'm being serious, Jane. That's the first time I had ever heard him call me that. Go on. It's just I really want to... He was interrupted by Keith running up to him. What do you want, dude? Keith, still catching his breath, spoke. Troy needs your help at the pond. Can I have a drink? Randy responded. No. And what does he need help with? Keith looked at me. It's private. Randy got a serious look. Okay. He then turned to face me. I'll be right back. I nodded my head and he was gone, paying the worker on his way out, leaving me at the speedway. Not long after, Jeff and his brother Liu walked in. Jeff avoided me while Liu gave me a friendly wave. I waved back and, deciding that waiting outside was better, walked down and sat on a bench. I waited and waited and waited. I waited for 2 hours. No Randy. Cutting it out of the loss, I made my way back home. Of course, I thought. Why would I have anything nice? I walked by the Hamage house on my way home and, deciding that the asshole deserved a confrontation, made my way to the door. I was about to ring the doorbell when I heard yelling from the inside. I heard Mr. Hamich's voice.
And you did nothing?
I heard a sharp smack go across someone's face. I'm sorry. It was Randy. He was crying.
Don't cry. I didn't raise a crier. I raised a fighter. And you can't even do that right. Your brother's in the ER because of you.
Another sharp smack. More tears. I'm sorry, he repeated weakly.
Look at me when I'm talking to you, son.
There was a moment of silence.
Good. Now you will handle this. I'm not getting the cops involved in something that was your fault.
Handle it?
You know what I mean. Now clean yourself up. We'll have guests in a few.
I heard cars start to pull up and quickly sprinted away from the door and towards my house. I should have done something. But what could I have done? Go in there and make things worse for him? Call the cops and have nothing happen to Mr. Hamich? I hated that there was nothing I could do. Nothing to stop that evil man. So, I just ran.